Yang berbahagia Sri Leo Mogi, Minister Yobin, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, I would like to say thank you very much for this invitation. I spoke last, according to Leo just now, 20 years ago. That is a long time, and I believe I've forgotten most of the things that I've said. But now I'm asked to speak about electricity. Well, doctors know something about electricity. They know, for example, that your heart generates electricity. But nowadays, of course, they find that the whole body is generating electricity if you know how to catch it. Electricity has been with us for a very long time. Ever since Edison showed that it can be converted to light, we have been using electricity. We cannot imagine life without electricity. Or if you like, you can try to imagine what this hall would be like without electricity. I would have to shout at you. But electricity has made it possible for people with soft voice like myself to speak to the large audience that you have in this room today. I believe you all can hear me because of electricity. Electricity has provided us with power to do almost anything. The problem is how to produce it and how to convey it to the right destination. We know, for example, that electricity is not easy to be sourced from something that is static. But electric eels do produce electricity. They have never thought of that as another source of power. If we have lost everything else, I think we may have to resort to electric eels. We'll have to breed them in large numbers and try to gather electricity from them and light this room with eels. That is a possibility, but we know today that we can generate electricity from many sources. We know that if we spin a wheel and put wires around it, then you will generate electricity. But to spin the wheel, you need another power. You need to burn something. You need to catch water that is flowing in the river. And you need to catch the wind as it blows and moves the wheel. No. Well, anyway, you know what I mean. What I want to stress is that you need to do something in order to produce electricity. And today, we have to burn a lot of fuels, we have to build dams, we have to do quite a number of things in order to the windmills, example. Yeah, we have to do a lot of things which also require power before you can get electricity. In other words, electricity is a means of transferring power from one source to another, and the thing about it is that it is very convenient. It can be carried out through wires, and now of course you don't even need wires. If you want to charge your toothbrush, for example, nowadays, you just put it on a receiver, and or rather the electricity will pass through, even without wires. So we are seeing progress all the time. And I think in the future, we will need to find less polluting means of producing electricity. Of course, we think about electric cars as if it is non-polluting. But to have electric cars, we need to generate electricity somewhere. And to do that, we may have to burn fuel or let the windmills spin, etc., etc. Malaysia is quite fortunate in that we do have almost a constant supply of electricity. And we do this because we depend on three sources or three ways of generating electricity. We burn fuel, we burn coal, we have hydroelectric power, and there is a fourth one somewhere. But the thing that we do not believe in is generating electricity using nuclear power. Many people wanted to have a nuclear power plant in Malaysia after I stepped down. Because when I'm still around doing something, there are two things people don't do. Number one, they don't smoke near me. Number two, they don't generate electricity through nuclear power. I am against nuclear power because we had a very bad experience with nuclear material, with radiating, with material that produces radiation in this country. Malaysia produces tin, and other than tin, we also produce a substance called amang, a black substance, which at one time was used to produce color television. But of course, the amang has got to be activated before it can perform. Later on, people found other ways of making color TV. So they did not want any more amang. But the amang has already been activated. And we are left with a residue of amang in this country, which is very dangerous, because people cannot go near the activated amang because of the radiation. We had a long haggling with the company that made use or activated this amang, and eventually we agreed to bury this substance in an area 1 square kilometer large. And we had to bury it under thick cement to prevent the radiation from affecting people. So we lost 1 square kilometers of land because it still is not safe to be there. That was our experience with material that produces radiation. What we learned from that is that the waste from irradiated material is not easy to dispose. If we want to dispose of it, we cannot find a place. We need to bury it deep in the ground. We may have to throw it somewhere. If you put it in the sea, then the fish will suffer and we cannot eat the fish. So where do we put the waste? That is the important question, because although science have made tremendous advances in the field of electricity, but science has not been able to deal with the waste material after it ceases to be a source of power. Just imagine the number of nuclear power plants in the world, not to say about nuclear warships and submarines, but nuclear power plants. There will come a stage when you have to get rid of the waste. If there are one or two, that will be all right. But if you have a huge number of power plants with nuclear power plants, getting rid of the waste is going to be a big problem for society. So because of that, we decided that we should not use nuclear material for generating electricity in Malaysia. That was a policy when I was the 4th Prime Minister. That was not the policy of the 5th and 6th, but now I have come back. It may be cheap to generate electricity from nuclear material, but we are not going to do that simply because we are not sure we can get rid of the waste. The other thing, of course, is what you have seen in Japan. When there is an earthquake, power plants do get into trouble. They got all kinds of radiation, and the whole area is no longer habitable. And lots of money have been spent to stop the radiation. But until now, people are unwilling to go back to where they were living because of the radiation in that place. Then, of course, we've heard about Chernobyl, where the plant got into some trouble and several people have died trying to service or to prevent the radiation from reaching the outside world. And of course, if you have a nuclear war, you can be sure that the whole world will be irradiated, because if you blow up a large enough number of atomic bombs, then the radiation will be blown right around the world, following the jet stream. So I still believe that we do not know enough about nuclear material to make use of it, whether in peace or in war. So Malaysia will still depend upon other materials, other fuels for generation of electricity. We may have to use quite a lot of coal. We have a lot of coal in Malaysia, but so far we have not fully utilized the coal in Malaysia. We are buying coal from somewhere else. But I think one way of reducing our costs will be to exploit the coal available in this country. Not just at Batu Arang here, but also in Sabah, and I believe also in Sarawak. So we feel that we are going to be able to supply enough electricity to this country for a long, long time. And with that, of course, we have available to us power, because electricity is almost synonymous with power. And we need power in order to run the country. We need the power for lighting, we need the power for industries, we need the power for moving vehicles, etc. And in the future, we are going to use electric cars. They sound very good, but please remember that they have to be charged. And to charge, you have to have another source of electricity. So somewhere else, you will pollute so that your cars will not be a pollutant. So these are things that are being studied now, and I'm told that in the future there will be electric cars, but not yet. We haven't reached the stage when we can use electric cars simply because they have to use batteries, and batteries run out after some time. We are told that now they have batteries that can run a car for 1,400 kilometers. I haven't seen one, but that's what they tell me in the reports. But normally now we can reach up to 200 kilometers with one charge. But batteries are costly. The car will cost twice as much if you want to use electric cars, electric driven cars, than if you were to use ICE engine, internal combustion engine. And I think for some time now, for some time to come, we are going to use internal combustion engine. But there can be a combination between ICE engine and electric engine. The ICE engine could be used to drive the motor in order to generate electricity, and the battery will then be able to move the car over much longer distance. As soon as the battery is exhausted, or before it becomes exhausted, then the motor will once again recharge the battery. So you can travel quite a long distance by using both ICE engine together with electric engine. These are things that are being developed, and I hope that they are successful. Other than that, of course, we are using electricity in many other things, and I'm quite sure with research and development, we are going to make more use of electricity that we generate. And I hope that with conferences like this, you will be able to exchange ideas and learn more about how to apply electricity to make our life much easier, much better, because electricity is at the moment the cleanest form of energy and the most transportable energy that we have discovered until today. So I do hope that this conference will yield or will bring about greater understanding of electricity, its application, and other things that you can develop using electricity to power them. So I wish you a very good conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Join a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our Prime Minister of Malaysia. I would now like to invite Tun, Minister Yobi Yin, and Tan Sri Mogi up front on stage for a group photograph.